Good afternoon, folks. You're watching The Hungry Handgunner, and today we're going to talk about pistol caliber carbines. So today is just going to be a primer. Today we're just going to go over an overview of PCCs, pistol caliber carbines. This is still a pistol legally. But we're going to talk a little bit about, it is clear, we're going to talk a little bit about this as a philosophy, as a pro, con, whatever. So I think number one, what started this is I've seen a lot of stuff in various gun groups that I'm on the interwebs where people completely condemn this. This is immediately discounted as any kind of a defensive use firearm. This is merely something for fun, or at best a competition gun. And the issue seems to split people right down the middle. You have people on one side of the argument that says this is about as good as it gets. You have other people on the other side that say absolutely not. I'm somewhere in the middle. So does this is chambered in 9mm, does this have the same energy that a 5.56 round out of a similarly sized firearm would? No. Does it have the same energy as a shotgun? No. It doesn't really belong in either of those categories, I don't think. So when you look at this in its folded configuration, it's very compact. It's also very heavy for what it is. So where this comes into play is just like I have said about defensive use firearms, that it's largely an individual decision. Who lives in your house? How old are they? How is your house laid out? What's around your house on the outside? What sort of area do you live in? Things like that. So for two-legged issues, I think this will work just fine. It's a 9mm and it's going to do 9mm things, although it does have a slightly longer barrel. You're not quite breaching the gap between rifle and pistol rounds there. So you need to realize that just because it looks like a rifle in a lot of ways does not mean that it is one. It is still a 9mm, and this one is a 9mm pistol by legal definition. Yes, you can get the carbine size gun, and yes, you are going to get some ballistic advantage out of a 16-inch barrel, but there is a trade-off to be had there. The ammunition made for pistols is going to do best at pistol velocities. You do run the risk at pushing those rounds past the velocity thresholds that they were designed to meet, so you could end up sacrificing penetration for overexpansion or fragmentation, things like that, when these rounds are pushed further than they are meant to go. So that's something I would check into. The other thing is it's heavy. I actually do think that I'm going to want to get a scale at some point and measure the weight of this versus my AR or even my AR pistol and see what that looks like. But enough about the negatives. What about the pros? Well, if you are a handgun guy and you get something like this in the handgun caliber that you already have, well, that's less ammo that you have to potentially buy. You can even get into things like AR-9s, like if you're a Glock guy that use Glock magazines, well, that's less magazines you have to buy. Less variation of magazines that you have to buy. Anyway, you're still going to want several mags for both the pistol and the long gun, I would say. Capacity-wise, this is a polymer PMag 35 rounder. You can see it's kind of obnoxious in there, but it works. You do get maneuverability. Something like this is very easy to maneuver around my house. And well, 9mm is going to do 9mm things. So now what a lot of detractors say is that if you're going to take the time and energy to have something like this for home defense, why not just go ahead and go and commit to a rifle? Well, there may be several reasons, and I'll just give you mine. Although this is not my designated home defense gun, if it were, I would actually pick this over my 5.56. Number one, I have young children. Number two, rifles indoors are loud. All gunshots indoors are loud, but rifles are substantially more so, especially a 5.56. So this is a little quieter. Number two is going to be ammo. This 35 round magazine is small. I have several of these. I can stick them in pockets. I can carry more of it with me in terms of space than I can my 5.56. The 5.56 is a little bit lighter as it happens, but there is that. Number three is going to be storage. Now, were this my home defense gun, That takes up a lot less space depending on where I want to stage it in my house, especially with a 20 round magazine. Whatever you want to do, that takes up less space than a standard AR-15. So there is that. At the end of the day, guys, if you're a PCC fan, that's great. I'm happy for you. If you are a never a PCC under any circumstances guy, that's great. I'm happy for you. But I think the conversation we need to be having is to stop telling other people what is best suited for their home layout. If you think a shotgun's the way to go, I'm not going to use one, but that's on you. And if you have decided that that's the best thing to defend your house with, great. If you have decided, I was reaching for my Beretta, it's over on the table. If you're like me and you've decided a handgun is your go-to for things around your house, again, depending on the age and a number of other occupants in the home and the layout and things like that, great, good for you. You need to train with whatever it is. So whether that's this, an AR-15, a shotgun, a pistol, whatever, if you're not putting the time and effort into making sure that you're prepared to do what needs to be done, and that other people in your home, if they're old enough to be a part of that home defense plan, are clued in, that you guys are all on the same page, that's the more important conversation to be having, I think. If you have kids, what are they supposed to be doing? Do you run drills? And if you do run drills, if you're not going to use a firearm in the drill, if it's just go time or whatever your word is, do your kids know where to go? Does your spouse know where to go? Do they know what they need to be doing? All these are things that need to be taking place before an event like that happens, and hopefully it never does. Statistically, it won't. But if it does, do that. And while I'm harping on it, like I tend to do with these defensive things, make sure you have a fire plan. Do people know what they're supposed to do, where they're supposed to go, what's their rally point, muster point, whatever, if there's a fire? Do you have fire extinguishers? Have you stored flammable things safely in your home? Because that's statistically more likely to happen than needing something like this inside the home. So all of these things go into kind of being prepared in and around the home. But I think we focus too much on the tools and a little bit less on just letting people decide what works best for them. You know, I carry an M9A3. That doesn't mean that you need to carry one. At the same token, if you want to, I think it's a solid choice. I just feel sorry for you because they're a lot of fun and I go through a lot of ammo with it. But there is that, guys. So weigh in the comments. Keep it respectful. Are you a fan of pistol caliber carbines or are you not? And if not, why not? And if so, why? I'm interested in hearing more from other people in a respectful format on your thoughts on these.